In the depths of human memory, the story of Noah's Ark holds a unique place where myth intersects with faith and imagination meets reality. This vessel, said to have carried the seeds of life and survived a great flood that nearly engulfed the entire earth, became a universal symbol of salvation and new beginnings. For decades, a site believed to contain the remains of the Ark on Mount Ararat in Turkey has drawn the interest of researchers and explorers from around the world. Yet, official restrictions and limited access to the region have only deepened the mystery instead of revealing the truth. Every year, new attempts emerge, scientific expeditions set out, and questions arise once more. Are these relics truly from the time of the flood, or are they merely natural formations elevated by imagination to the level of miracles? The story remains open, and the mystery grows thicker the closer anyone gets to the boundaries of the forbidden truth. So stay with us until the end, and don't forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel to receive all our latest updates. Deep within the mountains of Ararat in eastern Turkey, amid harsh terrain and an unpredictable climate, lies one of the most controversial and mysterious sites in the world. It is here that many researchers and believers think the remains of Noah's Ark are still present, buried beneath layers of rock and soil as if waiting for the moment of a great revelation. The site is located in an area known as Durupunar, and it has been at the center of heated debate since the 1950s, when aerial photographs revealed a strange, boat-shaped rock formation strikingly similar to the ancient vessel described in religious texts. Despite decades passing since this apparent discovery, the site remains shrouded in mystery, not only due to the absence of definitive scientific evidence, but also because of what some describe as official obscurity. Researchers and explorers who attempted to study the area firsthand have faced a maze of restrictions, limited permits, and in some cases, complete denial of access. This has fueled speculation about the true reason behind such tight control, especially since the site falls within a highly sensitive military zone under Turkish authority, making free access or photography extremely difficult. It is believed that the Turkish government treats the region as a protected area for security and geographic reasons. Yet, the mystery deepens with recurring claims of secret visits and undisclosed research teams said to have conducted underground geophysical scans revealing unnatural materials, possibly petrified wood or buried structures attributed to the Great Flood. These alleged findings were never officially released, but continue to circulate among those interested in religious and archaeological mysteries, reigniting questions about whether truths are intentionally being kept from the world. The geography of the region adds to the difficulty, as it lies in a mountainous area near the Iranian and Armenian borders, one of the most sensitive military zones in Turkey. Some theories suggest that authorities fear a genuine discovery of Noah's Ark could upend scientific and religious narratives, triggering intellectual and cultural conflicts that would be impossible to control. Others believe the site contains nothing more than a natural geological formation, and that the entire controversy has been amplified by myth, superstition, and the desire to find physical proof of ancient stories. Yet, the emotions stirred by the idea of uncovering the remains of Noah's Ark go far beyond scientific curiosity. They touch the deepest layers of human faith and the longing to witness something described in sacred texts with the naked eye. For this reason, this remote patch of earth will remain a perpetual point of debate, seen by some as a miracle awaiting recognition, and by others as merely the shadow of a mysterious mountain shaped by nature and imagination. Interest in Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat increased dramatically in the mid-20th century, particularly after the appearance of aerial photographs and unusual ground formations in an area known as Durupunar, located about 30 kilometers south of the mountain. These formations closely resembled a boat-shaped structure buried in the earth, with a length remarkably similar to the measurements described in religious texts. Since then, Numerous expeditions, both civilian and religious, have traveled to the site in hopes of finding physical evidence supporting the ancient story preserved in Holy Scriptures. In 1960, photographs taken by the Turkish Air Force revealed a striking ship-like formation, prompting several American researchers, most notably Ron Wyatt, to launch exploratory missions to the area. The initial reports released by Wyatt and his team caused a sensation, as they claimed to have found petrified wood and organized metallic elements that appeared to be part of an ancient ship's structure. However, the scientific community dismissed these conclusions, arguing that the findings lacked rigorous methodology and relied more on religious interpretation than on solid archaeological evidence. What is particularly intriguing is that the region surrounding Mount Ararat was later classified as a restricted military zone, preventing most independent teams from accessing it freely. This prohibition fueled further suspicion and speculation, sparking discussions about a forbidden discovery. Some believe that strong evidence may indeed have been found, but has been suppressed, whether for political, religious, or Turkish national security reasons. Despite the absence of official acknowledgement from governments or major scientific institutions, the accounts of explorers and enthusiasts who managed to get close to the site continue to circulate widely among religious communities and those interested in biblical archaeology. These accounts describe unusual building materials, possibly petrified structures, and traces of ancient human activity in a place where nothing but rocks and snow is expected. Somewhere between belief and denial, the story of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat remains suspended between legend and reality. Modern science has neither confirmed the Ark's existence at the site nor conclusively disproven the possibility. What deepens the mystery further is the strict limitation on research in the area and the lack of transparency regarding what has or hasn't been discovered over the past decades. The story of Noah's Ark has long been one of the most prominent religious narratives that has sparked wide debate between faith and science, between those who believe it occurred exactly as described in the Holy Scriptures, and those who view it as a mere symbol or myth conveying moral and spiritual meanings. But in recent decades, scientific interest in examining this story from archaeological and geological perspectives has grown, opening the door to possibilities that were difficult to accept in the past. Many researchers from various disciplines, archaeologists, geologists, and even astronomers, have tried to determine whether a massive global or even regional flood could have actually occurred, causing widespread destruction, and whether a vessel could have existed to save those aboard from annihilation. Geological studies have revealed evidence of enormous floods in regions such as Mesopotamia, with some findings matching the proposed timelines of Noah's story. This has led some to believe that the narrative may indeed be rooted in a real event, one that was amplified and given symbolic meaning over time. On the other hand, reports, photographs, and studies have emerged suggesting the presence of unusual geological formations on Mount Ararat in Turkey that resemble the shape of an ancient ship. Although these discoveries have not been scientifically confirmed in a definitive manner, they reignited debate over whether these formations might truly represent remnants of the Ark or whether they are merely natural phenomena. Scientists who support the Ark hypothesis have called for further research and excavation, but restrictions placed on the area, classified as a sensitive military zone, have prevented final verification of these theories. Religion, for its part, continues to uphold the account of the Great Flood, seeing in the story of Noah a profound divine message about faith, obedience, and salvation from destruction. And although religious texts do not provide material evidence that can be measured or scientifically analyzed, the scientific developments hinting at major floods and geographic traces in certain regions lead some to consider the possibility of a connection between what is described in Holy Scriptures and what modern science is discovering. Some believe that the difference between religion and science in this context is not a contradiction, but rather a difference in language and methodology. Religion speaks in symbolic and moral terms, while science seeks to explain phenomena in material and systematic ways. With growing interest in biblical archaeology and ancient texts, a group of researchers known as scientific theologians has emerged. Scholars who attempt to bridge historical evidence with religious scripture to provide a broader and more realistic understanding of the past. Among all the stories passed down through generations, the story of Noah's Ark remains one of the most captivating and impactful tales. It is not merely a story about a great flood that engulfed the earth, but also a powerful symbol of salvation, obedience, and faith in the face of natural catastrophes that threaten humanity's survival. This story is preserved across the Holy Scriptures, with details varying between the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, yet all revolving around the same central theme. Noah and those who believed in him were saved, while those who denied his message perished in the great flood. The story begins when God commands the prophet Noah to build a massive ark, following the divine revelation he received in order to save the believers from the punishment that would befall the earth. The coming flood was a consequence of humanity's corruption and deviation from the righteous path. Noah, along with his sons, set out to build the ark according to God's instructions, using natural materials and precise design that would allow it to withstand the rising waters and the fierce winds. Once the ark was completed, Noah began gathering pairs of every species of animal on earth, as he was instructed, ensuring the preservation of all living kinds after the flood. Also aboard were the believers who accepted his message. However, the vast majority of people refused to believe him, dismissing his warnings, sealing their fate to be destroyed by the rising waters. As the flood began, unprecedented rain poured from the sky, and at the same time, the springs of the earth burst open, submerging the entire surface of the land. The ark ascended gradually, carrying the last hope for humanity and the living creatures. The flood lasted for many days and nights, and while Noah and his followers remained safe within the ark, all those who rejected the message drowned. One of the most emotional scenes of the story is the moment of separation between Noah and his son, who refused to believe him and declined to board the ark, convinced that the water would never reach such heights. In the end, he perished in the flood, leaving his father in deep sorrow, despite Noah's desperate attempts to save him. After the flood subsided, the ark came to rest on Mount Judy, believed to be in a mountainous region of Turkey. Noah sent out a dove in search of dry land, and it returned with an olive leaf, a sign that life had returned to the earth and that the flood had ended. Noah and his followers then began rebuilding their lives on the renewed land, becoming the foundation of new nations on earth. The story embodies deep religious and moral values. It calls for faith in God and warns against rebellion against his commands. It also reflects the concept of salvation through righteousness and obedience. Noah's Ark stands as a timeless symbol of hope in times of disaster and of divine justice that distinguishes people only by their piety and their devotion to God. For centuries, the story of Noah's Ark has remained one of the most debated and mysterious tales in human history. And as time passed, a larger question began to emerge. Why are governments so reluctant to open the file of this enigmatic story? Despite the many scientific expeditions and explorers who have attempted to reach Mount Ararat in Turkey in search of the Ark's remains, there are clear restrictions, both local and international, on accessing the area. Many questions remain unanswered, fueling the belief that there may be more behind this continued prohibition than simple security concerns. At first, some of the security precautions surrounding the region of Mount Ararat may seem understandable. The area is strategically sensitive, located near the borders of Armenia and Iran, making it a critical zone in Turkish geopolitical calculations. Moreover, Mount Ararat itself is situated in a rugged landscape that is difficult to access, further complicating scientific exploration. Yet over time, it became evident to many researchers that the matter may be far more complex than mere security issues. Some scholars believe that governments fear that uncovering the truth about the Ark could disturb the religious balance and ignite theological tensions. If tangible evidence were found suggesting the existence of Noah's Ark, or anything remotely close to it, countless questions and religious challenges would arise, potentially leading to consequences beyond control. Certain religious groups may perceive such a discovery as a threat to their worldview, possibly causing divisions within societies. From a political perspective, governments may also be concerned about the social and economic consequences of such a discovery. If the Ark's site were confirmed, the area could become a major religious and tourist destination. Reopening this file might also trigger attacks by extremist groups or be used as a tool to mobilize public opinion for political agendas. The idea of uncovering a historical site that could alter religious and social thought represents a serious threat to the stability of many regimes, whether in the Middle East or elsewhere. There is also a scientific dimension to consider. The academic world may not be prepared to interpret such findings in a way that aligns with expectations. A discovery of this scale could challenge widely accepted scientific explanations, creating friction between religious and scientific narratives. Research in such areas could yield surprising results that disrupt established scientific theories and present scholars with entirely new challenges. In the end, the story of Noah's Ark remains one of the greatest mysteries that continues to puzzle humanity. And while attempts to uncover its truth persist, governments and authorities in several countries, including Turkey, remain reluctant to permit full-scale research in the potential sites that may hold remnants of the Ark. Although some view this as an obstacle preventing scientific discoveries that could reshape our understanding of human history, others believe that behind this hesitation lie political, religious, and even strategic motives. As time passes, the questions remain unanswered, and Mount Ararat, along with the entire file surrounding Noah's Ark, remains closed off to the world. Research and speculation will undoubtedly continue, and perhaps the day will come when hidden truths are finally revealed. But until then, the story will remain one of the most debated and enigmatic legends throughout the ages. With that, we come to the end of our discussion about one of history's still unfinished stories. Don't miss the chance to follow more by subscribing to the channel and activating the notification bell to stay updated with all new content.